Friends, does love really change a person completely? Maybe today's story will help us find out. There's a high school girl named Yuri. She looks stressed and different from other girls her age. The main reason is poverty. She always dreamed of studying at a good school, but she knew that dream might never come true. When she came home that day, she quietly sat in the corner, upset and tired. Her mother tried to comfort her and said, "Don't worry, one day you'll get into a great college." But Yuri knew the truth. Without money, it wasn't possible. She blamed her father. He had died saving another child's life, leaving Yuri and her mother to struggle alone. Angry and hurt, she said, "If he wanted to be a hero, he could have at least left us some money." Those words broke her mother's heart, and she slapped Yuri in frustration. Shock and anger filled Yuri, and she ran outside into the dark, rainy night. She didn't care about the rain. She was too upset. After walking some distance, she saw a cave. Inside were old, broken things scattered everywhere. She decided, "I'll sleep here tonight. Tomorrow I'll just go straight to school." The next morning, when Yuri stepped outside, everything looked different. Her town was gone. Instead, there were wide green fields everywhere. No houses, no roads, no cars, nothing. Since she had not eaten anything the night before, she felt weak and fainted. A Japanese soldier named Sukama found her. He helped her up, gave her water, and took her to a woman who ran a small restaurant. He called her Aunt Churu. Aunt Churu gave Yuri food and helped her feel better. While eating, Yuri noticed a newspaper on the table with the date, June 2nd, 1945. Confused, she asked why the woman kept such an old newspaper. Aunt Churu replied calmly, "That's today's newspaper." Yuri froze. She rushed outside and looked around carefully. Everything matched the Japan she had read about in history books. Fighter planes flew loudly overhead, and she realized World War II was still happening. Panicking, she ran back to the cave, hoping she could return to her own time, but nothing worked. Finally, she accepted the truth. She had traveled from the year 2024 to the year 1945. Tired and scared, she returned to the restaurant. Aunt Churu gave her a small room to rest. That night, she also gave Yuri a special chocolate from Sukama. She explained, "Only a few selected soldiers get this chocolate. Only they know its taste. No ordinary person ever gets one." And she was right. When Yuri finally tasted it, the flavor was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Rich, rare, unforgettable. The next morning, Yuri began helping Aunt Churu with her daily work. While working, she learned something surprising. The restaurant served all soldiers for free. Aunt believed these young men were angels who risked their lives for others. A little later, a girl around Yuri's age came by. She brought fresh fish that her father had sent. People often did this. They would send ingredients whenever they could so Aunt could feed the soldiers properly. Soon, Sukama arrived with a group of soldiers. When Sukama saw Yuri, he stared at her for a few seconds, unable to look away, until one of his friends nudged him to sit down. Aunt introduced Yuri to everyone, and Yuri began serving tea. When she reached Sukama, she softly thanked him for the chocolate he gave her the night before. Before Sukama could reply, one soldier placed his chocolate on her tray. Then another did the same. Soon, every soldier added their chocolate. Yuri was confused. "How does everyone have this chocolate?" she wondered. One soldier smiled proudly and explained, "We're fighter pilots, a special unit. No one knows when we will die, so this chocolate is given to us as a special honor. Only we receive it, no one else." The word "die" made Yuri fall silent. Her face changed and Sukama noticed instantly. After the meal, sensing her worry, he took her to a nearby hill. From there, the view was stunning. A field of white lilies covered the land like a soft blanket. Standing among the flowers, Yuri experienced a feeling she never had before. The air smelled sweet and peaceful, almost unreal. They talked for a while. Yuri finally asked quietly, "Aren't you scared of what you do?" Sukama looked at the sky and answered, "No, I am serving my country. Why should I be scared?" Yuri lowered her gaze and whispered, "But war never gives anything back. It only takes lives, especially innocent ones." Her pure honesty made Sukama smile softly. "You're brave," he told her. "You speak straight from your heart." That night, Yuri couldn't sleep. She knew the truth. Japan was going to lose the war. She knew what was coming. Burning cities, starvation, loss, pain, a broken nation. She wanted to save Sukama, to protect him from the fate he didn't know was coming. But how could she? How could someone change history without destroying everything? She wished she could rewrite the past, but deep down she knew. Changing time always comes with a cost, and that cost could be terrible. The next day, more soldiers came for food, and Sukuma was with them. Since Aunt wasn't there, Yuri served everyone herself. Everyone looked happier than usual because it was the birthday of one soldier's little girl. He showed everyone her picture with pride, but there was sadness in his eyes. He said he hadn't seen her for more than a year. Yuri was shocked and asked, "So you're going to war without meeting her even once?" The soldier nodded and said proudly, "Yes, I'm ready to sacrifice everything for my country, even if I die. Yuri couldn't stay quiet. She spoke angrily. Are you all crazy? The people giving you orders, have you ever asked them to fight with you? They stay safe in their homes while sending you to die. A soldier named Catterall stood up angrily. He felt insulted and was ready to fight. But before things got worse, Sukuma calmly stepped in and said, "We are not here because of orders. We chose this path. Serving our country is not stupid. It's an honor." Yuri shook her head and replied softly, "But war never gives anyone anything. It only destroys lives." Before Catterall reacted again, Ant entered with food. Everyone sat quietly and the argument ended there. After the soldiers left, Ant took Yuri to a graveyard where her daughter and son-in-law were buried. They had died in an enemy attack. Ant cried silently at their graves and whispered, "But they died with honor. They gave their lives for this country." On the way back, Yuri saw a little girl sitting outside a house. Her clothes were torn, her face weak, and it was clear she hadn't eaten in days. When Yuri asked someone about her, she learned her father was a soldier who died in the war. Her mother was killed in an airstrike. Hearing this, Yuri's heart broke. She hugged the little girl and whispered, "Just a little longer. Japan will lose this war soon. After that, everything will get better. Japan will become strong again." But someone else heard her. A commander standing behind her grabbed her hair and shouted, "What did you just say? Say it again." Yuri didn't hesitate. She repeated her words. The commander became furious. "You think Japan will lose? How dare you insult your own country?" He moved forward, ready to kill her. But suddenly Sukuma ran forward and stopped him. The commander began hitting Sukuma. Right then, Ant appeared and shouted, "Stop! Do you even know who he is? He's from the Special Forces. These soldiers are heroes, and you're attacking him?" A crowd gathered, and finally the commander backed off and left. Sukuma took Yuri home safely, but Yuri was shaken. She felt something terrible was coming. Still, Sukuma stayed close to her, like a silent protector. But history was already written. August 6th, the day Japan still remembers with pain. The day the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, forcing Japan to surrender. Yuri had only read this in textbooks before, but now she was living inside that moment. And the fear inside her kept growing. One day, while Yuri was cleaning the restaurant, she heard a group of soldiers talking quietly among themselves. Their voices sounded worried and nervous. They were saying things like, "Yesterday's attack destroyed almost half of Japan, and whatever is still left won't survive for long. The enemy is planning something massive. If our leaders don't act fast, everything will be over." Yuri wanted to listen more, but Aunt called her from outside. Aunt gave her a bundle of warm clothes and said, "Take these to the nearby village. They will give us money for them, and with that money we'll buy grains for the restaurant." So Yuri began walking toward the village. But today was different. Today she was about to see the real horrors of war, not just read about them in history books. As she reached the fields near the village, she noticed people running toward her, terrified and crying. Before Yuri could understand what was happening, she looked up at the sky. Enemy planes were flying overhead, but they weren't just flying, they were dropping bombs, one after another, like falling leaves in a storm. Within seconds, loud explosions shook the ground. Peaceful homes, farms, and families were destroyed in the blink of an eye. Fire spread everywhere. Smoke covered the sky. Screams echoed from every direction. In just moments, everything turned into ruins. Hundreds, maybe thousands of bodies were lying on the ground. Yuri could have run away. She had a chance to escape, but her heart didn't allow it. She felt she owed Ant something: kindness, loyalty, and love, the same love she had received. So instead of running, she turned back and rushed toward Aunt's home. But before she could reach it, a house exploded nearby, and its roof collapsed onto her. She was trapped under heavy rubble. She struggled, pushed, and tried everything to free herself, but the debris wouldn't move. Fear took over. She started losing hope. Then, faintly, she heard someone calling her name. She looked around through dust and smoke, and there he was, Sukuma. Without wasting a second, Sukuma reached her, pulled away the heavy pieces, lifted her onto his shoulder, and carried her far from the danger. When they finally reached a safe place, Sukuma spoke quietly, but there was fear in his voice. "If something happened to you, I would never be able to forgive myself. Please, stay safe." That night, Sukuma couldn't sleep. His mind was full of thoughts, so he stepped outside to clear his head. There he found his friend Itara sitting alone. Itara looked broken, tired of war, tired of loss, tired of life. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "I don't know what to do anymore. Should I go to the battlefield, or should I stay with the woman I love?" His voice shook as he continued. "Everyone I cared about is already gone. My family, my relatives, all died in this war. She is the only person I have left. I can't lose her too." The next morning, all the soldiers came back to Ant's restaurant for one last time. They weren't there for food. They were there to say goodbye. By nightfall, they would leave for the battlefield. Sukuma walked up to Ant and bowed deeply. With a soft but emotional voice, he said, "You took care of us like we were your own sons. For us, you are not just a cook. You are like a mother, a goddess." Ant tried to smile, but tears filled her eyes. Yuri stood nearby, quietly watching. Her heart felt heavier with every passing second. She already knew the truth. This was the last time she would see them. They wouldn't come back. The pain became too much, and Yuri stepped outside to hide her tears. On her way out, she saw Atara, standing alone, breathing heavily, looking nervous. Yuri immediately understood. He wasn't going to war. He was planning to run away. A moment later, other soldiers found him and surrounded him. Shaking with fear and crying, Atara shouted, "Please, forgive me. I've already lost everyone I love in this war. My family, my relatives, all gone. Only one person is left, the woman I love. I want to live for her. I can't lose her too." One soldier stepped forward angrily and yelled, "So you're running away? You're turning your back on Japan? You traitor! A soldier's duty is to fight, not run after a woman." Before the soldier could continue shouting, Yuri stepped in, bold, angry, and fearless. She pointed at them and said, "You can't force someone to die. Atara has the right to live. If he wants to protect the woman he loves, let him. What is wrong with choosing love over war?" Her words hit everyone like lightning. No one spoke. Even the angry soldier became silent. After a long moment, Sukuma walked to Atara, put a hand on his shoulder, and said gently, "Go, live your life. Be happy." Atara fell to his knees crying, but this time out of relief. After everyone left, Sukuma took Yuri to the lily field one more time. The wind was calm. The sky was soft and golden with the setting sun. It felt like the world was holding its breath. There, Sukuma finally spoke about his own dreams. He told Yuri that he once wanted to become a teacher, live a peaceful life, and help children learn. But after his father died serving the nation, he made a choice. He would also become a soldier, just like him. Yuri's eyes filled with tears. She held his hand tightly and whispered, "Please, don't go. Japan is going to lose this war. Please believe me." But Sukuma gently moved her hand away and said, "If soldiers like me step back, all hope will be lost. Who will protect the innocent? Who will protect the children? Who will protect people like you?" Yuri shook her head and argued softly, "One day the world will respect Japan. This country will rise again, even if it loses this war." But Sukuma had already made up his mind. With a heavy voice, he said, "I cannot step back now." That night, before leaving for war, the soldiers gathered together for one last drink. They lifted their cups and shouted, "For Japan! For honor! For victory!" Yuri stood in a corner, watching with a broken heart. She knew their future. She knew what was coming. She couldn't stop her tears. She ran towards Sukuma and begged, "Please, don't go. There is still time. Please stay." But Sukuma didn't turn around. He didn't speak. He just kept walking toward his mission, toward his destiny, toward death. The next morning, all the villagers walked together to the base camp to wish the soldiers good luck before they left. But Yuri didn't go. She had already said her goodbye in her heart. Instead, she stayed behind and helped clean the place where the soldiers had been. While cleaning, her hand brushed against something, a folded piece of paper. She picked it up and realized it was a letter. On the front, in handwriting she recognized, was written, "Sukuma." Without hesitating, she grabbed her bicycle and started riding as fast as she could. Maybe she wanted to return the letter, or maybe there were still words she hadn't spoken. Her legs shook, her breathing grew heavy, but she kept going. Faster, faster. She reached the base just as the planes were preparing to leave, but she was too late. The crowd was cheering loudly. Her voice, her screams, her words, all drowned in the noise. Ahead of her, Sukuma climbed into his plane. His face was calm, determined, and full of pride. He was ready to fight, ready to honor his father, ready to give everything, even his life, for his country. One by one, the planes lifted into the sky. Some soldiers smiled bravely. Some cried quietly. They all knew, deep down, this was their last flight. Yuri watched helplessly. Her chest tightened. Her heart felt like it was breaking apart. She called his name with all her strength, again and again, until her voice disappeared. Her vision blurred. Her knees gave out. And then, everything went dark. When Yuri opened her eyes, everything had changed. She was no longer at the base. She was lying in the same cave where she had first fallen asleep days ago. Back in her own time, back in the present, back in 2024. She stepped outside, confused, searching for answers. There were no lily fields, no soldiers, no war, only modern houses, roads, and cars. For a moment she wondered, was it all just a dream? She rushed home, and the moment she entered, her mother pulled her into a tight hug, crying. She told Yuri she had almost lost hope of ever seeing her again. Yuri hugged her back and apologized, truly understanding the value of family for the first time. Her mother smiled gently and said, "Live the life you want, Yuri. No one will stop you anymore." From that day forward, Yuri changed. She became calmer, wiser, more grateful. Her classmates noticed. Her teachers noticed. Even she noticed the difference inside herself. One day in school, the teacher announced that their class would be visiting a war museum. The next morning, they arrived at the museum filled with old fighter planes, uniforms, and photographs of soldiers who had once fought for their country. Yuri walked silently through the halls until she froze. There on the wall was a photograph she knew very well. Sukuma. Her heart skipped a beat. Next to his picture was his story and a letter he had once written to the girl he loved. With shaking hands, Yuri leaned closer and read the letter. "Dear Yuri, I'm standing in the lily field again, where even the flowers cannot match your presence. I always wanted to tell you something. You are special to me, but I never said it because I knew if I did, you would never let me go to war. I want you to be happy, to live freely, to follow your dreams. You are full of life. Stay that way. Now, it's time to say goodbye. Maybe one day, somewhere in another time, we will meet again. Yours, Sukuma." As she finished reading, Yuri fell to the floor and cried harder than she ever had before, because now she knew. It wasn't a dream, it was real. Everything had truly happened. She had traveled through time, she had loved someone, and she had lost him. Later, Yuri returned to the lily field, but now only one single lily remained. She gently touched it and closed her eyes. In that quiet moment, she finally understood. Life is precious. Every day is a gift, and the value of sacrifice can last forever. Even though she spent only a short time with Sukuma, he changed her heart forever. So Yuri made a choice. She would follow the dreams Sukuma never got to live. She would become a teacher. She would teach children not just history, but the importance of peace, love, and life. And with that, this beautiful story comes to an end. Tell us in the comments, how did this story make you feel? We'll meet again in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.